I'm doing good. I just had my weekly call with Cody Davis. I always like being on calls with him because I'm learning as at the same time.
It's like
And
every week you say you learn something else. It's kind of cool. You're like, last week it's this thing, and next week there's something else strategy you're implementing.
yeah, and the biggest thing that I see with him that I appreciate is that he is singular focused on one thing,
Hmm.
on acquiring properties, optimizing his existing portfolio, right? Like that is like one of the 10 things I'm doing. So, uh, and that's the beauty of what he's doing, right? On my side, I'm trying to do multiple things on top of grow the portfolio, optimize the portfolio, restructure the finance. So which part of why we've been doing these probably 4 or 5 months now, and I've been saying like less is more and simplifying. This is why is by going wide. Yes, there's a big opportunity to win, but I'm foregoing some other low-hanging fruit. For example, just like there's loans I have that are like 9% that I need to refi, but I'm like, do I refi it now? And if I refi it now, can I get it done with the taxes I have and all that kind of stuff, right? Because I haven't finished. I have 2025. I'm still working on. I always file the extension, so it is a good to hang out with somebody that asks you questions, challenges you, and also you learn from. So, like the thing I learned today, I've been paying a third party company for LLC setup and EIN setup, right? And he's like, "Oh, I just do it online. I get it in like 15 minutes." And I was like, "Yeah, because it takes me, up to 2 weeks. I pay a third party company. I fill the forms. I'd send it. They process it. Well, they're doing the mail version. They get it in the mail. They scan it and they send it to me. And then Cody's like, "Oh, I just do the electronic and I'll have it in 15 minutes." I'm like, "Perfect."
Jeez.
Plus, it's a way for me to save money too, right? Because like I'm paying at least $800, something like that, for the setup.
Wow. Yeah, those third parties will definitely charge a lot, but I always caution about setting it up and screwing things up. I mean, for me personally, I'm just worried about doing it wrong, and then all of a sudden your LLC doesn't work and you lose your property or something. But I'm sure that's
Yeah,
a one excuse.
exactly. Definitely, as you make more money, have more assets. Now you need more. You need somebody that's experienced in that. And you know, on my side, I go fairly fast and just do it and then figure it out later. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm paying a third party company. They send the operating agreement, review it with the partners, if there is partners, sign it, and then send it back, do all that stuff, right? Now, in a perfect world, you'd have a lawyer review all that, making sure that you have a registered agent, you're in the right state for your LLC. Is it a series LLC or not, right? So like I have a bunch of stuff that has been set up that I haven't even used yet. And I'm talking like I spent probably 15,000, right? It's just that I have been putting it on the back burner for a couple years and it's just hanging out, right? So
Like a company structure or something or what?
yeah, so I paid this company to set up what's called a series LLC, and they have it in I think it's Texas. So and that person is like the registered agent. So if you look up the company, it's that guy shows up, not me.
Yeah.
And so I set all this up. Well, I've never moved my existing properties in the existing LLCs into these new LLCs, right? So that's definitely something that I need to do, get it all restructured, because the end game, is you want, mega wealth, right?
Mm.
The
Right.
You spend all that time, the energy to build that money. The last thing you want to do is have like one random person try to take you down for all the money, right? So it's definitely something that I haven't focused on yet, but it's one of those sleeping dogs that is going to bite me if I don't take care of it.
Kinda like buying life insurance, like, you don't need to buy it tomorrow, but if you put it off forever, then you're gonna wish you had it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, so the main thing you took from today was focus on one thing as opposed to spreading yourself too thin?
Yeah, that's like what I like to do is when I'm hanging out with people is figure out like their superpower,
Mm,
because everybody has something that they are great at better than anybody else, right? It
hmm,
comes natural to them. They love doing it. They're predispositioned to it. I.e., they're born into it,
sure.
something like that. And so, for example, Cody is he learned a lot from experienced people and he implements it. So he's very focused, takes action, and the other thing, he's very good in financials. So, like for you, like the one thing I picked up was like you're a full time pilot, you got family, kids. I went on to the very first time we met. I always go and look at the existing YouTube,
Mhm.
Instagram, and all that. And I was like, man, this guy's been pumping the videos out like consistently over time. Like you are great from what I can see is consistency. You've been taking action as well because you did some, I think it was some wholesale deals,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and so I'm always trying to figure out, okay, as I'm sharing my story, I want to learn from the other people. So for you, I'm like, man, this guy has done it consistently over time. Now Cody's building his consistently over time, YouTube and all that, right? And he's does the two lives a week, Thursday, Friday. He does multiple lives. Like I'm one day, he has another one Monday, and I'm sure he's got more. So he's building that out. But his superpower at the beginning was super focused, finances, talking to people about real estate, and then buying the real estate and updating it. So
That might be your superpower is being able to do that. You're kinda like absorbing all the things from the people you meet. Even if
right.
somebody's, like, should be learning from you, you're, like, finding out little pieces of nuggets that you're implementing in your own business and stuff. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, for me, like especially when I'm talking to the agent team and like we'll get a new piece of business. And when I look back on it, it's just me talking to different people over time accumulates into things. Now, my motto I live by is all great things come from the power of the increment. And it's from me connecting with different people over time, right?
Mhm.
So, ironically, I was texting with Ryan this morning, Ryan Weimer, which is how
Weimer,
we,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
or however you
that's
say
how
it.
we originally met, right? But there's all these webs of people in the background that I've met over time to where when I need something or I can add value, meaning I know this person needs a thing that this person knows how to do. If
Mhm.
I can connect those people, in a perfect world, I try to connect them to where there's value created both sides. In a perfect world, I'm also able to get a commission or referral or make money off of it too, right?
Yeah.
Because that's like one of our other mutual connects is David Pere, right? So
Yeah,
like he'll send me a referral, which we're meeting with somebody tonight. That's a referral from him. Assuming it's a small dollar amount, but if I end up closing that, it'll be 6K. He'll get $1,500 for sending me an email with a person's name, email, and phone number, right? And and this kind of is what keeps the world running behind the scenes. But I just like connecting with people, learning from them, and and I'm trying to implement all the best things from everybody.
yeah, 100%. And like you're right, you're not gonna see something that happens tomorrow per se from planting those little seeds, but,
Right.
over your career, you kinda have this, like, moving force of connections that are all kinda working behind the scenes at some level, and then, yeah, kinda consistently now one thing is dropping, and then this is happening, and this is happening. So you end up having, like, this consistent amount of progress because of all these little things that happened, like, 10 years ago.
Oh, 100%. And you don't know what it's going to translate into until it actually comes up. Dude, law of attraction. I said Ryan's name. He just texted it there because I texted him like
So
2 hours
weird.
this morning. He's in
Okay.
Vancouver, Washington, right?
Oh,
Because he had asked me a couple months ago. I was like, "Hey, he's coming in for a World Cup and something," and so he's like asking recos for locations in Seattle, and I was like, gave him this stuff, and then ironically, my fiance then says, "Hey, I just booked us on a trip to London," which Ryan lives in London,
yeah.
right? So I was like, "Oh, the World Cup's up. He must be coming in." So I connected with him. Oh, and it was his birthday popped up yesterday. So I sent him a note for that. And then he's like, "Oh, having a blast here. I'll be in Seattle." But then I just like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in London." And he's like, "Tell me when you're gonna be there." So I might be meeting him in London. Um, when he comes to Seattle is actually this next week, I believe, because he's in Vancouver, which is just like two hours north. But
Yeah.
I'm doing the World Cup in Seattle Friday, then going to Orlando for a cruise, and then South Carolina, then back. So, but when he's in Seattle, I'm going to be in Florida. But hopefully, he's there in
In
London
London.
when I'm there in London. Go meet up because I've never met him in person.
Oh, really? Yeah, I had him on my podcast, and then I went to some of his stuff online, but yeah, he posts a lot. Maybe it just seems like he is a known person. Like you kind of feel like you know him just by watching his stuff a lot too.
Yeah, like his superpower is like he's very high level thinking. He focuses on he's on the who, not how, right? So
Hmm.
he's great at setting up a team, getting the right because he has what's that guy's name? Ryan, I think's his name. That is Corey. Corey's is like implementer. Like Corey's like executes everything, right? Now
Hmm.
Corey's not that's his superpower. But Ryan stays in his high level setting up, the visionary aspect of the role. So, and I'm just hearing how he's done deals over time. I'm like, man, I just am trying to replicate what he's doing. If you can consistently get off market deals, and whether you wholesale them or take them down, flip them, or take them down, burr them, it is like the fastest path to wealth, right? 'Cause, like the
Yeah.
problem today for most people is they have the money, but you're like, "Well, what do I actually buy that
Yeah.
will money," right? So, some of them, you have to find people in need of selling. That's what Ryan is great his company does that. Offer Now, Idaho.
Hmm.
Um, like, for me, I'm more of the curating deals, and just volume of offers, right?
Right.
In terms of helping my agent team. An
Hmm.
example of that just came up. We have a guy that works at NVIDIA, lives in San Fran, wants to invest in Seattle area. We found a property that works where he can build there's a duplex and then he can build a duplex behind it. And the seller inherited it. Somebody passed away, they got it, but they're above market on it, right? And so we
Okay.
put an offer at 610, but then we put a seller financed offer at the list price, 675. And we stuck to our guns. The seller agent keeps coming back to us. Hey, just seeing if you guys are still interested. And we're like, yeah, we are, but it would need to be seller financed because the tenants were friends with the owner. The rents are literally like 50, 60% of market, right? They're
Hmm.
like 1200, they should be 2000, right? So like we're like, well, the only way to get market is you got to move the tenants out. You move the tenants out, now you're 10, 20,000 to update each unit. Like the cash on cash return makes 0 cents. He's like, so you wouldn't buy it outright, even if we came down. I'm like, 610 is the number. If you want 675, we can do seller financed. And he's like, okay, let me work with the sellers. So maybe today we might be able to do a seller financed offer, which it's just first pass. We have it in at, and we structured the deal because the tenants were friends with the owner who has since passed. We structured it saying we will keep the tenants in there as long as they want to stay there, and we will keep the seller financing terms for the same time. So, for example, it's set up as zero interest for 10 years, but the seller would get some money, but the buyer would still be able to be profitable because it's a low monthly payment,
Yeah.
and that we wouldn't have to kick the tenants out. We can still make money at the low rents because we
Yeah.
have low debt payment to the seller. So we're trying to tie that together, and then if the both the tenants move out, we said, "Hey, we'll give you it'll be 6 months and we'll refinance and we'll pay you off the balance. But if you want these tenants, take care of the tenants, we'll keep them in there for 10 years. We'll just increase the market rent over time, which at 1200 to get to 2000, I mean, I should probably do the math, but I'm guessing it's like 10 years, right?
Yeah. Right.
we can only go up. We have rent control now. We can only go up so much to market
And
rent.
then in 10 years, it's not gonna be 2,000, it's gonna be like 2,500, you know what I mean? You'll
Oh
have
yeah, yeah.
way
You're
behind.
trying to catch up to a rising thing, right? So the max you can do is 7% plus. Each area has a like COLA, cost of living adjustment, I believe, right?
Mhm,
So for round numbers, it's roughly 10% today. 7 plus 3 is the 10, right? To
mhm.
get from 12 to 2,000, that's going to take what 5 6 years, something like that, right? Because it increases on an increasing number, right? 1,000, if you did
Mhm.
10%, goes 1,100. So you increased 100, then next year it'd be 110, right? So
Yeah,
it starts increasing and increasing rate. So
but it
but
still
we're trying
cash
to
flows
figure out
at
a way to
0?
make. Say it again.
It still cash flows at 0% with, the
Yeah.
tenants paying what they are? Okay.
It'd be 500. It's about 4% cash on cash. Now the kicker there is like, yeah, it's 4%. He can increase the rent, right? We just talked about that. He can build two new duplexes in the back and burr those, right? So now there's equity build, right? The other thing is the payments are interest free, so it's massively chunking down the debt. The other thing is, and as you guys are looking at getting into development, the financing is a huge component of the development.
Mhm.
If you had infinite cash, you would just pay cash and there's nothing to worry about. When you are financing properties, for example, this specific property, the whole parcel is encumbered by the loan, right? Now, if he wants to build in the back and go get a construction loan, let's just say it's for 500,000.
Maybe in
Well,
2nd
the
position, right?
yes, which most people will not do it. For sure, banks will not. Hard
Yeah.
money, potentially. If they did, it would be super expensive. It'd be like probably 3 points and 12 plus percent, right? So what you have to do is split the lot via, it depends on the jurisdiction. You can do a condoization or lot split, short plat. Some do what's called a unit lot subdivision. So you can do that. Now, the to do that though, you would have to either get what's called a partial lien release. So imagine a full square. If
Yeah.
you cut that half of the square off, now you're going to build there. If you cut that off, you can put the loan, you'd be first position there. Now,
Okay.
the loan that was on the whole property, you'd have to go to that lender and get what's called a partial lien release, meaning take that loan and now only attach it to what the existing duplex that, right? So
Which
in the
is
fine print,
less equity from their perspective, so they're gonna wanna have more equity in the property, or they won't. I'm assuming if you're, like, all the way leveraged, they're not gonna do that because it's like, well, now you just got free money, you know what I mean?
exactly, yeah. Not all of them will want to do it. Now, when you're working with the bank, they'll have an appraiser come out, appraise it, right?
Yeah,
Um, Depending on how fast you do it. Like if you wait 5 years, the property's probably gone up. You're probably fine.
yeah,
But if you're trying to do it right away, the odds of it being the same value or higher are not great.
mhm,
They could be as low as 10%, maybe even more below.
mhm,
So let's just say you bought it for 500. It may be worth 450 when you cut the land off,
yeah,
right? So, which means you might have to put money in to release it.
yeah.
Now, in this specific seller finance one, we put in there specifically a note that says that they would allow a partial lien release for the lot that is built on.
'Cause
So
they're the bank. Oh, that's awesome.
exactly. So because if we set up this seller financing thing and we want to build in the lot in the back, normally to do this you'd have to do a partial lien release. Not all banks want to do it, especially if it has low interest rate. So they'll just force you to refi.
Yeah,
So we want that optionality. If he does build, then he can add it in the back. Um, Probably, and this is my reco to him, is could we build it today? Let's just say that he gets under contract. Could he build it today? Yes. It's going to take him time and money to split the lot, then get the permits to build there, and then um, go through the process of actually building it out, right? Probably 18 months. Alternatively, if it's already cash flowing today, he can build in the future.
right.
Values in the future are only going to be higher, right? So, on my side, I'm like, hey, like I would just land bank that. You don't necessarily need to build today. You're already cash flowing, right?
Yeah.
If they're he works at NVIDIA, he's got a lot of stock, so he's not necessarily hurting for money. So just let it roll, right? Now, if he didn't have the money um, to hold all the money into that property, okay, fine, right? Because he could go finish the project, sell that other project. He's going to make money on that, and then he could
Yeah.
get his original money back. Effectively, Burr by
Right.
building and selling the two units in the back, he did get all his money out of the property and still own the duplex.
Right.
Um,
But if you don't
so
have to do that, it's kind of like unnecessary risk and holding costs and things like that.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
we know you can build in the future. So, and in the future, you might be, if you waited like what I'm doing, I might wait 10, 20 years, right? In 20 years, I might be able to, because today I can do 8 on one of my lots. 20 years from now, that might be 20, right? It only gets better over time.
Right.
Um, yeah, caveat, I'm sure there's options when it could not get better, but most of the time, your value of your land only goes up.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially over a long enough time horizon. Like if you're
Exactly.
talking 20-year increments, you're pretty safe. I
Mhm,
have a strategy I wanted to run by you, and
mhm.
it's a clip that you can react to. It's kind of on this note of like using financing to your advantage. I heard it on Bradley's oh, yeah, you know who Bradley is because Cody went on there,
Yeah,
and
which
I think
I
you
hear
we
you
were
have
talking about that.
yeah, I hear you have to pay big money to get onto his, podcast, but yeah.
Oh, did he? Because oh, that's interesting. So when I had him on, he was telling me that how that happened was he literally just Googled his phone number and cold called him. But
Now,
I'm sure
he
that's
might have
crazy.
been able to do that, but I believe you have to pay to get onto these, and that's some of these higher end players that have these podcasts, that's what they do.
That's so interesting. Okay. So anyways, this guy came on Bradley's podcast and he does he, I'll just play the clip for you and tell me what you think
Yeah,
because it's a way to buy a primary residence using a HELOC.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And I
I wonder if
think I'm on
there's
the right part of the clip. If not, then I'll just like explain the thing here. So let me see. Let me go back. 30.
this is called an all-in-one loan, I bet.
Okay. Yeah, you probably already know about this. Let's see here.
And after our
Mhm.
resurrection of being broke and bankruptcy, had to wait a couple of years. But in 2011, me and my wife bought our house again. And I closed on a mortgage, an FHA loan. And I said, within 6 months, as I'm paying this down and we get 10% equity, I'm going to refinance the entire thing to a home equity line of credit. So I called banks almost all over the country. And same thing. Well, how are you going to take, if you got 10% equity, how are you going to take your 10% equity to pay off 90% balance? Because they're thinking of second lien. And I was like, I don't want a second lien. I want a first lien. I want to refinance. If I came to you to refinance my FHA loan to a Fannie or Freddie loan to get rid of the mortgage insurance, are you using any of my equity? No, it's a refinance. I said, that's all I want to do. I just don't want to refinance from a mortgage to a mortgage. I want to refinance from a mortgage to a home equity line of credit. And so it would get escalated. And eventually a chief risk officer at the bank would be like, yeah, that's a no brainer for us. Why
It's
is it
better for us.
because they have guaranteed collateral rights to the house. In second lien position, they don't. And they learned their lesson in 2008. If you're in second lien position and somebody defaults on their mortgage, you're not guaranteed a penny.
Whoever's in first is.
Exactly. So they're like, yeah, we would like to be in first lien position. They didn't change the terms and conditions at the time for me for being in first, but nonetheless, they were willing to do it. And so I did. And what I did is I redirected all my cash flow away from my bank accounts directly into my home equity line of credit. Now, we also learned our lesson from that meltdown of let's not live beyond our means. Just because we start making more doesn't mean we start spending more. So our burn rate was low and our income started creeping up. But that income was being 100% directed into the home equity line of credit, which also computes interest differently. So in a mortgage, when you put dollars in, those dollars go to interest first, then principal is calculated. It's an amortization schedule and it's front loaded. Everybody can feel this. They know this if they have a mortgage for any certain amount of time, especially after a couple of years. You're like, I've been paying religiously month after month, and my balance is damn near what it was what I took out a couple of years ago. It's front loaded with interest because The lenders know that the average American is going to sell or refinance every 3 to 5 years. So they're in a hurry to get their profits on the front end. So it's front loaded. Well, a HELOC, simple interest, recasting automatically every single day for free, is a fancy way of saying when you put money in, it goes to principal first, then interest is calculated. So let's say I start off with a $100,000 balance and I put 10 grand in there. Tomorrow I am paying interest on 90 grand, not 100 grand. See, in a mortgage, we could be paying for years. Does your payment ever change as your principal goes down? No, it's a contract fixed payment. So essentially we're making a payment on an outdated balance. So I don't care if you're 15 years in, your payment's the same. Most people aren't going to keep a mortgage for 15 years. So you're making a payment on an outdated balance. With a simple interest line of credit, like a home equity line of credit, your payment goes down as the principal goes down.
Yeah.
Well, we can keep going, but that's pretty much the main point of what he's showing us. Does that make sense? What he's doing there?
Yeah, 100%. There's a couple different terms for that.
Okay.
The term that I'm aware of, that it's called the all-in-one loan, meaning
What you said.
in the old, what he was talking about at the beginning is you have a mortgage and say you want to get a HELOC, home equity line. So you have two loans, right? So all-in-one just means, well, what if I just combine them all in one and have a large HELOC effectively, right? And the beauty of that is that the mortgage is amortized over 30 years, right? That's why you have the same payment every month. That's built because America is a consumer economy and we love our payments, right? If we know it's $1,000 every month, we're not thinking, right? Now, a HELOC only charges interest, simple interest on the balance that is there at the time. And that's how you're able to decrease the balance faster. In there, it said six years, I believe. And that's all the way the money flows. So, for example, let's just say you're sitting on some people love to have money in their savings account, right? Now,
Yep.
historically, pre-2022, savings account was basically zero, right? You'd have 100,000 in there and you might get $2 of interest, right? So what you could do on that same exact 100,000 is get one of these all-in-one loans, right? Let's just say, for simple math, the home was $1 million, right? And the loan on that is, let's say you had 20% equity, so the loan is actually 800,000. Now, instead of that 100K sitting in your checking account or savings and getting basically zero, you take that same 100,000 and you put it over here. Now your all-in-one loan, i.e., a home equity line, right? It goes from 800 to 700. The interest, instead of being on 800,000, is now on 700,000, right? So now the payment has decreased, right? And what you can do over time is, as you make more money, you can just put all your savings into this all-in-one, and it keeps shrinking that balance. Now, what ends up happening is, like, in a perfect world, you're always making money and you're always saving and it always goes down. It's not. In
That's what
reality,
he's saying. Yeah, gotta live below your
it's
means.
going to happen, right? You have a health bill for 2,000. Okay, I don't have the money. Normally, I pulled it out of the 100,000 savings, right?
Yeah.
But I just go back here, the 800 that went to 700. Okay, I go back and say, well, I need 2,000 back. I take 2,000 back, put it in my checking. Now my loan went from 700 to 702. Now a slightly higher interest rate, right? So all you're doing is allowing your money to sit in the HELOC. So
Keep that interest a little bit lower. And also, in the way it's structured, it's still paying down more principal anyways, because it's not front loaded like it is with the amortization, right?
100%, exactly.
Okay.
Right. So what I want to do is do that same thing, right?
Oh,
Is
yeah?
how do I get these all-in-one loans? Or effectively, it's just no mortgage, just a giant HELOC, right?
Yeah.
Because usually a HELOC for most people is like 10 to 30% of the home value, right? We're
Yeah.
just saying the same thing, except for it could be like 70, 80%,
Yeah.
depending on the bank of the home value.
Yeah.
It just gives you the flexibility to move money around so much better, right? So I actually met with a new lender, back to what we were talking about earlier. I'm always connecting with people. So I in Snohomish. I met a guy for coffee. His company deals with these all-in-one loans, which I heard about on a podcast, different from the guy that you showed. It
Okay.
just so happens that mortgage company, he works there. So I was like, hey, I love this product. Tell me more about it. How do we make this work for me and my clients, right? Because
Mhm.
then because he wants to meet with me to get access to my clients, right? I'm like, you can be the all-in-one guy, know everything about it, have the product. Let's figure out how to make it work for our clients, right? So that's a way for him to make money, I make money, and it's just better economics for the investment properties that you have.
And then kind of a bottom line here is he even mentioned it. You can't be living paycheck to paycheck because then you're just going to keep increasing the balance over time, as opposed to using your difference in your spend versus your income to bring it down. Like as you make more income, it's just going to be lowering it down as the delta between what you spend and what you make over time. That's going to just pay down the loan because it's going to be just using it as a bank account basically. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's basically not worth doing it at all.
Exactly. Well, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you can still make it work, and it's still going to help you because the way when you're putting the money in the holding account, i.e. HELOC.
Oh, and
So
just having it in there is doing something.
right, yeah, so the all-in-one loan or this HELOC, that's the product. Now
Yeah.
the process, if you search anything related to velocity banking, that's what you're doing. The velocity being is the flow of money, right? So, for example, and this is for people. So when I was at Amazon, I only got paid. I think I got paid once a month. So
Mhm.
like, which can be hard for people to manage their money, right?
Mhm.
So but it's can be good for people who get paid once a month. You take that entire balance, you go put it into the HELOC, right?
Yeah.
All right, now I need to make the car payment. I move 1,000 into the checking. The checking then pays $1,000. All right, well, I need to pay the credit card. I move 500 checking goes to credit card,
Is there a
right?
way to do it without the checking, just paying it from the HELOC balance? Like having a
You
card?
you can do that, yes. Now, it depends on the bank and how they had it set up. It would be awesome. Like you're saying, you have a debit card, right? And it pulls it
Yeah.
directly. Because it's one of those, the simpler you make it, the easier it is to do, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, but typically what I do is because my checking account already is hooked up to freaking 20 things, right? So like instead of rehooking it up to the HELOC,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just moving from the HELOC into my checking and then it comes in and out, right? And then when I get money in the checking, for example, on my side, when I make money on the agent business, right? It'll be a one large sum of money. Well, then I go put it into some revolving account. And then at which time I need the money, I take it out of the revolving account back in the checking, then pay.
Yeah. I have mine set up where every time I get paid, the amount that I need to pay for my bills the month just goes and transfers automatically into a bills account. And
Yeah.
then all my bills come out of that. So anything that's in my checking account is just saving, investing, spending. It's like the
Yep.
bills are paid because it's everything coming out of that account that I can't spend from. And then
Right.
kind of similar deal, just like the automations associated with it. But I
Exactly.
do
No.
I do have to get going here in a sec. But
Oh, you
um but I mean I didn't mean to cut you off there. But yeah, so I was just curious your take because that's like I don't know. I mean, that was the first time I heard of that. But anything to help the average person kind of get one more leg above their debt or problems, I think could be a good strategy. I think you got to be careful though when you start, utilizing too much debt. If someone can't have a credit card and then they start trying to do some of this other fancy stuff, meanwhile they're just like paying 29% interest on, you know, shoes that they bought at TJ Maxx. Like you could probably
Yeah.
fix that first.
The underlying is discipline, right? If
Yeah.
you have that, it works. Anytime you hear I paid my house off in 7 years or less, it always relates to velocity banking with a line of credit setup.
Mm.
So now you can do a line of credit, like a personal line of credit too, right? So imagine, if you go to a bank, like for example, at US Bank, I can get a business line of credit for 50K, like in literally probably 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I can go online, fill the information out, like give me a line of credit. You can do the same exact thing with a line of credit.
Yeah.
It's just that if you do it with a line of credit attached to the asset, i.e., the house or an investment property, the banks will give you more leverage,
And
right?
probably better interest, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I have one for my business. It's like 12. The one that's for on my house, it's variable. Right now, it's like 7 something, right? So
Mhm.
call it 5% different, which can add up over time.
Yeah. Man, that's a powerful thing. Maybe I'll do like something inside of the school community on velocity banking. That's a interesting topic to me. I always like digging into stuff that gets my brain working and thinking about new things.
So velocity banking, I know you got to go, but I'd recommend look at a guy, young guy, Denzel Washington. I think he's out of Florida.
Remember the Titans.
Yeah. What's in? Did I say Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
No, it's Denzel Rodriguez. He goes by the Finance Geek.
Okay,
Young
finance.
guy, probably started it in 2020. I think he started it in 2020-ish, 2021,
Okay.
somewhere, and was probably the same age, 20, 21, somewhere in there. But I mean, he probably makes 500K a year off of that, and that's everything is based on velocity banking.
Wow.
So I would look at that, create a course around that, sell that, or give him a sampler for free, and then the money he makes is when he's actually working with them. Like
Yeah.
he gets paid I don't know how much it is. I actually reached out to him, and he's like, "Hey, you've already seemed like you know what you're doing. You don't need my help here. You just need to do the do." But look him up. He's a great person that you could copy off of, rip and reapply.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'll look that guy up. Denzel Rodriguez. Sounds good. All right. Well, I'll talk to you next week then. It was good chatting with you again. We'll talk later.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Brennan. Bye.
All right, man. Take care.